It has been quite a while, but I am back. Reason being, I just hit the 1 year mark of living in London. For those of you that don't know, I moved here a year ago from Winnipeg, Canada to London for a change and to try something new and put myself out there. I was vlogging for a little bit when I first started, about every week, and honestly I fell off of it once life kind of started happening in London. I was posting reels and on social and stuff, but it's been a long time since I've done a full vlog, and I figured the 1 year anniversary is a good excuse to get back at it. If you don't remember, I moved here because I was just looking for something new and a change. I had worked for myself for years, I had a business back home for quite a while, and decided to move on and try something else. As I was looking around Canada and looking at the prospects, I thought, this is as good of a time as ever to try something crazy and move across the pond. So I got some help from an agency called Step Abroad to get a visa to come out to the UK. I moved out here with not really much of a plan and didn't bring a whole lot. When I landed here, I stayed in a hostel for the first 2 weeks with just me and a few suitcases until I found a place. And you can go back and watch some of my older videos to see how those first couple months started and how I got settled in and figured out my way. But yeah, it's been a year now. There's a lot of ways I'm settling in. There's a lot I've learned, a lot I've liked, some unexpected things. So today I'm gonna chat a little bit about what my first year's been like and reflect on it a bit. There was a few big reasons why I moved. One was work-wise. I just wanted something new. London is a big world city. There's endless potential, amazing creative and culture scenes, and things that I just wasn't really seeing back in Canada. One of the other reasons was I wanted to travel a lot. I've done a lot of traveling all over the world, and especially in Canada and the States, but it's just so much farther away from a lot of places that I wanted to check out. And moving to London really opens up a lot of things. There's so many places you can go all over Europe, North Africa, Middle East, and all sorts of places that is not too far and is way cheaper to fly around from here than being back in Canada. So those are kind of two things that have definitely lived up to the hype. The culture and creative scene's amazing. There's always so many things going on. There's music all over the place, awesome hospitality, food, drinks, you name it. And in terms of travel, I have done lots of traveling. I've been to the south of France, Portugal, Italy, Morocco, Romania, Denmark. I did quite a bit of traveling last year, and that was with me not really working much the first half of the year. So ticked a lot of boxes and it was great. The other thing too, a lot of people say, there's this stereotype that Brits are a bit cold or people in London aren't nice, and I just don't see that at all. I think everyone's been super friendly. I've made some very good friends. Part of it, I imagine, is just because it is a bit of a transient city. There's so many tourists. There's people that come here for a couple of years on working holidays, just like I did, that people are kind of used to people not being from here. So honestly, everyone that I've met has been really helpful in helping me find my way around the city and just settle in and have a good time. The last time I vlogged, I don't even think I had a job yet. So I'll give you a bit of a quick run through of what happened. I landed here at the end of January last year, like I said, with no real plan, no place locked in. I bounced around living situations a few times, started in a hostel for a few weeks, then found a short-term sublet on Spare Room, which worked out really, really well. It was a good location and met some of my closest friends that I've made here doing that. I then moved to South London, living between Stockwell and Clapham. I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't really heard anything about it. I just needed to find a place quick and cheap, and I did. I was only planning on being there for a few months, but I ended up spending the whole summer and into the fall there. There is a lot of expats, a lot of Aussies in that neighborhood, which is not something I necessarily was looking for. It just happened to be where I picked when I needed someplace decent and cheap relative to London terms. So the area was pretty good actually. Like when I first got there, I wasn't really sure, but there's lots of parks nearby with Clapham Common, Battersea Park. Battersea Power Station was a 15-minute walk from me. So the area was really nice. It kind of felt like what you imagine when you think of London, with lots of red brick townhouses and homes and estates, lots of trees. So it was pretty nice for the neighborhood. The one thing I found is, while it is still somewhat central and is pretty well connected in terms of South London, with tubes and overgrounds actually available, which a lot of South London doesn't have, it just felt a lot of times it was taking me a long time to go anywhere. using a Lime bike to get to the stations really helped to shorten things. But my job being in East London, a lot of my friends being in East London or north of the city, it just kind of felt like I was, other than a few friends that lived close to me, it felt like I was really like having to travel a lot to get anywhere and do anything. Turns out that's pretty common here. People are used to traveling far. London is a shockingly big and spread out city. Obviously, a city of over 10 million people, it's going to be big, but there's not a whole lot of big skyscrapers and towers. So it's actually like quite large and takes quite a while to get anywhere, even with such a good transportation system. It is expensive though. I spent a little bit longer in the place in South London than I kind of expected, but I was ready to move on, and I knew I wanted to be somewhere in East London. So now where I'm filming from is my new place. I just moved in December. It's called Fish Island. It's more or less part of Hackney Wick, which is an up and coming neighborhood. I'm looking at London Stadium right now at my window, which is where West Ham plays. It was built for the Olympics in 2012. And this area is really on the come up. There's a canal right outside my window. It connects to Victoria Park and to Regent's Canal. It's not the best in terms of transportation, although there's tubes and overground within 15-minute walk, which then get you anywhere. So it is good in that regard. It's still just kind of a bit of a extra step than what I was hoping for, but I think in London you don't get everything. You're never gonna get everything that you really want at the price you want. You kind of gotta, sometimes it seems, sacrifice things here and there. So that kind of takes me to my next point of, maybe some challenges that I've had or things that you kind of know, but don't know how it's gonna affect you. And one is the price. Obviously London is one of, maybe depending on how you look at it or what list, the most expensive cities in the world, and it is expensive. Housing is expensive. You're gonna pay generally quite a bit for whatever you have. More than likely, especially coming from Canada, it's hard to find a place at a reasonable price to live on your own, where I was used to living on my own in Canada. So it's a lot more there. Or, you can find some places that are super cheap for here, but they're either gonna be like kind of gross, to be honest, or potentially way far out that you may not be in an area you want, or you might be spending tons of money on the tube or train getting everywhere anyway and wasting a bunch of time. So you kind of gotta pick your battles. I lucked out. This place is amazing. Building's only 25 years old. My bedroom's big, the flat's big. I have one flatmate, which is great, and the price is fairly reasonable. Is a bit more than I wanted to spend, but for the area and what you get in the place, it's pretty good. I was also in a bit of a rush, so I'm here for probably till the summer, and then might change kind of depending on the situation with my flatmate and me as well. So yeah, in terms of cost of living, like, it's high. Going out is expensive. Just about everything here is expensive. The salaries, if I'm going to compare it to Canada, when you do the conversion, you probably end up going to make more than you would in Canada. But with the cost of living in a lot of ways being a bit higher, I would say you kind of fall somewhere in the middle. That being said, groceries are cheaper. It feels super walkable, at least again compared to Winnipeg and a lot of places in Canada. You can kind of walk anywhere, bike anywhere. The Lime bikes make a big difference. I'm now, one of my whole big things for moving is I want to be closer to the office and closer to areas I go out a lot, like in East London, like Shoreditch or Dalston or whatever it may be. And I can hop on a Lime bike and it's 15 minutes to work right now, and it's actually a really nice bike through Victoria Park, down a canal, and I'm barely ever on the road, so that makes a big difference. When it's raining, I am still not used to the wet, like at least back home in the winter. It might be freezing and maybe you get a bit of snow, but it's kind of dry. So when it is pouring rain, which it has been quite a bit lately, although I was in Morocco for a little while, it's very wet. And then I'll, take the extra time to go to the tube, and it's a bit longer, but it will get me to work dry. But yeah, I'd say honestly, like, the cost of living's high and it is expensive to go out and all that, but I think you get what you pay for. There's so much things to do here, amazing restaurants, bars, music. You really can, whoever you like and whatever you like, you can find it here. So to me, while it is really expensive, you can really do whatever you want here and have an amazing time. So that part hasn't really bothered me too much, especially since you can travel for so cheap. And I'd say the only other thing that is a bit of a challenge or struggle for me, and not that it was unexpected, but it is affecting me maybe a bit more than I thought, is the weather. Summer and spring and fall last year were amazing. Apparently it was one of the best summers in London ever, or at least in recent memory. It barely rained, it was sunny, it was warm, it was clear. I would, for my first year, I was like, oh, everyone's complaining about the weather all the time. It's been amazing. So I think I lucked out because apparently the year before was an awful summer. So summer was great. Winter for the last few months has been gloomy and gray and raining a lot. It is much warmer than where I'm from and much warmer than most of Canada. Vancouver is maybe the only place similar, but the gray and the wetness and the rain and the clouds is definitely getting to me, which is why I went on that trip a few weeks ago. But the gray and the gloomy and the rain and all that really gets to me. It's hard with no sun. At least back home in the winter, even if it's freezing, the sun's out and it makes a huge difference. You can sit inside and just bask in the sunlight back home. Here, it's been really few and far between, and I didn't know if I had seasonal affective disorder or SAD before, but I think I definitely do here. It's one of the reasons why I went to Morocco, and I might be going to Mexico in a few weeks. I just need to get some sun. It's tough. The other thing, which is kind of crazy, is I didn't really realize that London is actually north of pretty much all the major cities in Canada. So I always found the days back home short in the winter. They're even shorter here. It's end of January, so it's starting to get better, but it seems like it's only bright for 6 hours a day sometimes. That's maybe an exaggeration, but the sun comes up at fully at 8:30 if you can see it, and by 4 o'clock it's dark again all winter. So that was tough too. You barely get any daylight. So yeah, all winter it's been dark, wet, gloomy. The other thing I'll touch on quickly in this video, and maybe more down the road, is a job. So I'm working at a startup fintech company. It's been great. It can be tough to get your first international job. It took me about 5 months until I found one. But even from the first interview, I felt really good about it. So work's been really good. The culture is great. The people are great. And I'm really having a good time at it. I had, been warned that working in offices in the UK can be very different than Canada, and sometimes tough, and people are cold and not honest, or all these kind of things. And none of it seems to be the case, at least the place I work. I might have just lucked out. But yeah, I'm really liking it so far. It's really nice to get all the holidays here. Back home, my legal minimum in Canada is 2 weeks of holidays plus what we call stat holidays. Here, you get 5 weeks, so it's 25 vacation days, plus there's 8 bank holidays a year, and my company tops up. So I get 35 days off a year. One thing that's really nice too is I also get 30 remote days out of the country. My job is already hybrid, so it's 3 days in office, 2 days at home, but I get another 30 days on top of that where I can work from anywhere in the world, which has been great. It's allowed me to travel a lot more. And so this year I'm gonna do a lot more, extended long weekend trips, some working, some not. I just got back from Romania and Morocco, where I was gone for 10 days total, but only had to use 2 vacation days. I took 1 day off in each city and made it a nice 10-day half working holiday. I'm gonna do a lot more of that this year upcoming. In terms of what I set out to do and hoped I would accomplish in my first year, I think I did pretty good. I got a job, I made a lot of good friends, I got to see a lot of the city, go out, enjoy myself. I did some networking in the industries and spaces that I'm interested in. I traveled a lot. I've got 2 years left on my visa. I don't really have a plan for after, but I want to broaden my horizons and open myself up so that when it is time to figure out what's next, whether it's stay here or go somewhere else, I've got as many great options and connections on the table as possible. And the other thing is travel more. Like I said, I did a pretty good job about traveling last year, but I want to do even more this year. So more of Europe, places I haven't been, thinking about Thailand or some other places in Asia, maybe back to Africa. Still got a lot to figure out, but I'm trying to add more flags to my list this year. To kind of wrap it all up, would I do it again? Have I liked my first year, and am I enjoying myself? Yes, yes, and yes. If you're running from something, London's maybe not the place for you. It's expensive, it's competitive, there's a lot going on, but if if you're running towards something or trying something new or just really want to put yourself out there, this is a great place to do it. There is all kinds of people, all kinds of opportunities. You can come here and be a completely different person, reinvent yourself, or be you with more options, whatever the case. It is a great place to be if you can handle the gloominess in winter, but you can always cop a 20-pound round trip flight to Morocco or somewhere hot and get some sun for a few days and come back. So yeah, 1 year in, still here, still liking it, still have a lot more to do, and honestly, I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I'm finally settled in the place I'm at now, even though I'm gonna probably have to move again in 5 months, and hopefully that's gonna be the last time for the rest of my 2 years left on the visa. But yeah, London's been great. I'd do it again. Let me know if you have any questions, any recommendations. Have you done the same? Are you thinking of it? Where else are you gonna travel this year? Let me know in the comments, and I got a lot more to talk about, so I'll be back soon.